Here we go with episode 54 of Beers in the Lot. This episode, we grilled Eric on his experience up at the Level 5 Coaches Symposium for USA Hockey up in Duluth. So let's get to it.
Are you drinking air?
It was a juicy crack out of this Moosehead Rattler.
Moosehead Rattler.
How about you, John? What you got?
I got a Rolling Rock.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you, Daniel?
So I was jealous of Rigsby having some Three Floyds a couple of pods ago. And so when I stopped to get some beers for our championship game last night, I picked these up along with the Coors. It is a Gumball Head by Three Floyds.
Nice.
Very tasty.
Yeah.
What do you got, Riggs?
So it's a little early, but they're in the stores. Dogtoberfest from Flying Dog.
Oh.
Yeah. Little early.
That's super early.
But, I mean,
couple months, yeah.
It's a Martin, so.
Hey, Spirit of Halloween's getting ready to open up, so.
Yeah, you can go get your fake cobwebs.
And your Teletubby outfits.
I mean, it's not like I already saw pumpkin ales coming out, which are trash, by the way. Don't drink pumpkin ales. But they were out already like earlier in August. So it's not too early. Maybe.
Is it just like, I guess I'm aging more than you guys, I guess. Like I feel like it in my soul. Like I remember as a child, like it was Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And it was like usually the day after, maybe 2 days after, like that Saturday, you would see Christmas stuff. And I feel like now we see like all the holidays 7 months before it happens.
Yeah, just put the tree up now. May as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, geez. I mean, maybe some people have it right, just leaving their Christmas decorations up all year. Maybe they have it right. I don't know. I just like, I mean, Thanksgiving is the best holiday, right?
It is. That's the best one.
I think it is. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
You know, like food and booze, like
and food. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still trying to hold on to summer and drink these Rattlers until I don't have any more.
Until next summer.
Next summer.
Until next summer. Wear my shorts and flip flops until it's freezing outside. You know.
Yeah, you gotta wait. You gotta wait until the next vintage drops, Aaron. And then you'll be fine.
Yep. So Riggs just got back from Duluth. How was that? Level 5.
It was interesting. Yeah. It was fun and interesting. Duluth is kind of a weird town. I don't want to say anything bad about it. So
do tell.
There are no Uber drivers in the city of Duluth. So if you are in Duluth and you happen to catch this episode, you could probably do okay for yourself, especially
as an Uber driver.
especially on a Sunday afternoon when a fairly decent sized conference has finished up at the convention center. Ragnar was in town. They did one of those Ragnar races. I don't know if you know what the long distance relay races. They were doing that there at the same time. So there was a ton of stuff going on in town. And if you were trying to fly out of Duluth International Airport, and I don't know why it's international. Maybe they have Canadian flights. There's 4 gates at Duluth International Airport. Again, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just telling you facts. If you were an Uber driver on Sunday when all those people were trying to leave town, you would have done really, really well.
Untapped market there.
As it turns out, the coaching buddy that I went with and myself were without a ride to get to the airport, and we had about I don't know, 2 hours to get there. It's about 20 minutes away from where we were in Canal Park, the hip happening area in Duluth, because we were trying to eat lunch, but also we found out that every restaurant has like a 2 hour wait all the time. Like, yeah, it's wild. And I know like summer tourism there is big because of the lake and everything, but we didn't know how we were going to get out of town. We ended up running into another coach who actually brought his family to visit Minnesota. He happened to have a Southern Maryland Sabres jacket on. He saw we were waiting and said, "Are you guys experiencing the Uber and Lyft hell and battle too?" And we said yes. And they just happened to be, they actually flew into Minneapolis and stayed a couple of days there before everything started and then drove down as like a family vacation thing. So he said, "Well, if you think we could all squeeze in our rental car, I'll be happy to, give you a lift out to the airport." And we said, "Yep, we'll do whatever we have to." So, thanks to that guy. And we don't say names on the pod unless somebody's been on or says we can. So I'm not going to say any names, but thanks to the coach at Southern Maryland Sabres for helping us out.
There you go. Who's also a level 5 coach, I assume, right?
He will be. He will be. So you go to the thing and then they call it a thesis, but basically the requirements for this one is going to be you watch your team for a few weeks. You write like a minimum 1-page evaluation of where they're at, what they need to work on, and what you're thinking about doing to get there. You write 7 1-hour practice plans that are going to help address that stuff, to get your players there. And then after some time, write, what the results were. What were you trying to do? Did it work? Did it not work? What went well? What didn't go well? So yeah, that's cool. I actually dig that. Some people, complain about it, but I think it's cool that there's some real thought around,
Yeah, they make you actually coach.
Right. Right. Are you actually doing this or do you actually care enough to know it? Because we sat there for 3.5 days and listened to some of the best and brightest minds in the game, in American hockey, talk about how do you do this for real. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I mean, if you go away for 4 days and all you do is listen to and talk about hockey, like it can't suck.
Yeah.
And then hang out with all the hockey people, right? That are all there.
Yeah.
Like, can't suck.
Right.
Well, kind of like Aaron was saying, where they check to see if your coach, like Eric and I mean, we did it together. I would do all the practice plans almost for the entire season. I would almost like sequester myself in a room for about 2 days and just do it all. And then I would send half of it out. And unfortunately, because it's 8U, 90% of the time, like 5 minutes into the practice, we'd have to scrap it and just like do a total audible. But, and some people would like hate it because they're like, hey, you sent, this week's out, 2 days ago and we're changing it up 5 minutes into it. And normally it was because, well, yeah, look at the kids, like half of them look like they're about to go to sleep. So we need to spruce this up. So we'll do backward skating or whatever, next week when they're, a little more amped up. Well, I think that's the other thing too about coaching. Like you gotta, if you can't call audibles, do the Omaha like Peyton Manning, what's the point? And also too, like if you can't write 7 hours of practice plans, like, it shouldn't take you 7 hours to do the said practice plan. We're not NCAA or college coaches, we're youth, but that should take you a little bit of time, but yeah, it's worth it.
I forget. I forget if it was Ty Hennis or Mike Sullivan. Everybody
Great Penguins
knows,
organizational
right?
people.
Everybody knows Sully, right? But Ty Hennis is the skills guy for the Pens.
And he used to be with USA Hockey too.
Yeah, he was big on ADM stuff. So I don't remember which one said it, but they basically said too, like if your practices with the kids have a lot of chaos in them, no matter what age level it is, you're actually in good shape. If an outsider looks at it and says, "Man, that looks really chaotic and unorganized," it's probably doing the kids a lot of good because they're probably having to make decisions, read and react, using their eyes, their ears, and their feel, spatial awareness and stuff. And if you think about playing, that's what it is. Like you're not going out there and skating a route like a wide receiver in football or, whatever.
Right.
You got to be able to just play the game after the puck's dropped. So that, and I think, I know like when John and I were working together and even now, like I've always looked for that with the kids that I work with, that we're challenging them in game-like situations over and over and over and over again, trying to address certain aspects of the game. Yeah, it was awesome and all that stuff. I could talk about it forever. But I mean, again, like mentioned Sully and Ty Hennis, and the first night they had a panel of 4 of the 5 head coaches from the Minnesota NCAA D1 schools, and they did the same thing on the women's side. And when you're hearing from those type of people, that they do it on a professional basis, but the game is still a game. You're going to learn something, and at the very least, you're going to laugh. So it was fun.
So I really want to know what the bars are like around there, because I saw an interesting picture that you sent.
Which one?
Had something in it that we always talk about on this show.
Oh,
the Jaws board game.
Yeah.
So random.
Yeah, so that is Hoops Brewery, which, by the way, Danny, if you get to Duluth, go to Hoops Brewery or Brewing. I'm not sure which version of the B word they use, but go to Hoops. Get the number 48. That's one of the best West Coast IPAs I've had in a long time. It is excellent. Yeah. Made in Duluth, Minnesota. Right there. So they are kind of known as like a hockey bar or brewery. They had a bunch of jerseys hung up that I guess were like brewery teams, maybe. I don't know. They had signed sticks. They had a Joe Pavelski stick. They had a couple of the championship rings from when UMD won. And then we were looking at every brewery always has like board games for families to come in and play, and the parents play the board games and the kids play and the parents have beers. So they had this stack of board games, and on the top was the Jaws board game. So I was like, I got to send that to the guys.
That's crazy.
I was more mesmerized. How many taps were in there again?
Oh, them?
Yeah.
So they had, I don't know, they probably had like 24 beers, maybe like 24. The place that had all the taps was this place called 7 West, which had an awesome burger. Rivals Smiley's Burger up in Johnstown.
That's high praise.
It absolutely rivaled them. It was so good. They had like 46 taps, and they had all kinds of stuff. They had Alaskan brewing stuff, which it's really hard to find. least around like where we live. So, and the coaching buddy that I went to, he spent a lot of time in Alaska, both working and when he was younger. So when he saw that, he was like, I have to get it, because we can't find it.
Yeah.
He's like, the only place I've had it is in Alaska. So
That's kind of cool.
It was pretty cool.
See, I get overwhelmed when I go to a place like that. Like, I remember I was traveling for work, and this place had 40 some different types of craft beer, either on tap or even in the cooler with cans and bottles. And at one point, the bartender's like, "Oh, what would you like?" And I just said dealer's choice. Like, I look at the menu and everything in the cooler and whatnot. I relinquish control, just like pick something decent. I just said, it was like, "Can I get an IPA? Not too crazy." And I'm polite about it. I guess it's decision making.
And they're like, "Yeah, we have 20. Which one?"
Yeah. No, I just say dealer's choice. Like, you pick something that's very popular, or that you like. Because
as long as you don't get twisted tea.
No, I'm good. I don't say like, "Give me your finest flavor of seltzer." I don't do that. No. No.
So did any of the guys that you went out with, did they try to go beer for beer with you?
Okay. One person did. And I really can't say a lot, because I can't. They did, and when we caught up with them the next day, I don't know if he brought it up first or if my buddy that traveled with me did. But that exact phrase was said. You can't go beer to beer with Riggs.
That's funny. Eric mentions it because I remember when we did the Beach Bash tournament, which is like probably one of the coolest tournaments ever for 8U in Ocean City. And Eric and I, one morning, we had like a 9:00 game on Sunday morning. Saturday, we were up to like 3:30 something. Just, we exhausted all the hotel beers, and then I got like a 30 pack because I was like, we all know how this is going to work. So once that was done, I just came back, laid the entire pack on the table in the lobby there. And Eric and I just start, drinking beers. Various parents would come up, blah, blah, blah. One guy left, he came back. And then the next morning at like 8:15, I'm sitting down in the lobby by the rink, playing on my phone, drinking a coffee, totally fine. And one of the hockey moms walks by. She's like, "You're a really bad influence. My husband is not allowed to come out and drink with you and Eric ever again."
And he came when he, so I didn't see that, but the husband came up to me.
Yeah.
And goes, "I am never hanging out with you ever again." I was like, nobody put a gun to your head. Like,
seriously. It's like, we were the bad people. Like, we didn't do anything. Like, what did we do? Do anything? Eric, really, really quick, what was your highlight? Maybe someone speaking or something you heard?
I really enjoyed Tim Army from the Iowa Wild. So his whole thing was like, "Hey, we're at the American League level. We got to get guys to the national. But everything I'm going to show you, you can do." And absolutely, they were super, super simple offensive concepts. Now, you might say it's a borderline system, which there's a lot of debate about how you do that stuff at the youth level and whether or not you should. And I'm one of the people that says we're going to teach the individual hockey players first and put them in situations that make decisions to develop the so-called hockey sense. But the concepts that he showed were very, very simple. It's, F1 is whoever's on the puck first and gains possession is going to work the wall and off the wall. And depending on what they do, F2 and 3 are going to do different things, right? 2 is always going to be at the net, applying net front pressure. So basically, the F3 is going to stay high and react to what the puck carrier is doing. F1 has to win a one-on-one battle. They have to. So what he did then is show us what they do in practice to work on that. So every practice, pregame skate, they're working on that one-on-one battle. Then they add the element of how am I getting that to F3? Then they add the element for the shot on net. Then they add the element of how do I get that to the front of the net, right? The other thing he talked about too was like they tell their forwards, if you're gonna pass up to the D, for them to shoot on net, do not pass it directly to them. Put it off the wall, because it's easier for them to quickly gather the puck or one-time it and get it to the front of the net. It doesn't allow the defense to react. It gives you more options. So I thought that was really interesting as just a very specific thing. The very best segment, though, we didn't get to go on ice and do anything at Amsoil Arena where the Bulldogs play, but we got to sit on the ice on chairs and watch Roger Grillo run a local 16U team through some stuff, and then he was telling us like, this is what we're doing and this is why, and why not do other things, and that to me it was great because my group that went through it was our last those were breakout sessions, so everything that we sat through in other breakout sessions and in the talks that the pro people and college people were giving all led up to that, and that was all the practical application of it. And so I got a lot of ideas from that to use with the kids. So it was
cool.
Yeah, like
some of the best drills you and I ran when we were mites. It was stuff they were doing with like U16s and U18 at the high USA hockey levels. We just subtracted like 6 or 7 of the layers out of it.
Right.
That's all you did.
Right. Yeah.
It was usually really simple stuff. And they even say it too. Like as you go up, you add 2 or 3 layers. And they even say like, this is something we run at 8U, but at 18U, we do this, and this.
Yeah.
You add a layer or two. And especially if you have kids in the same program, like imagine what it's like you're, I don't know how you want to call it, training camp, if you will, for your U18 team where you have your first, 3 to 4 practices. You can go like, hey, do you guys remember the same drill we've literally been doing for 6 years, but we have this, and this now? Yeah, this time we're going to add this in it. And the kids not only know it, but now it's a new wrinkle for, U18's body checking and a few other things. It's a little more stout positional play and whatnot. But for the most part, it's always still the same thing. You win 2-on-1s, 1-on-1s, 3-on-2s.
Yeah.
Same thing.
That's what Ty talks a lot about, is that progression. You add element, and then Sully does too, because they have basically the same philosophy about how you develop players. So there was a lot of that with those two guys as well. But that, like, getting to see the practical application of all the other concepts that we were talking about the previous days was perfect. So I think I was lucky to be in the group that I was in, because some people went on the ice in the different groups, the couple days before. So, which they still got to see it, but I think like sitting through all the other talks, like that really helped.
Seeing it last was better to visualize it all. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah, met a lot of people. There was a group of us that was palling around then all weekend, so that was good. With bouncing ideas off of each other and making some invitations to go play in different places, but we'll see if that happens. But
Right.
you know.
Can we get through the like quadrant of hockey we have upcoming? Let's get through that, and then we'll deal with the rest. We're all invited.
That's going to do it for this episode number 54 of Beers in the Lot. We will catch you next week. Big thanks to our supporters on Patreon and in Discord. We really appreciate you all. Check out beersinthelot.com if you want to learn more about those things. And again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.